Today we're here to talk about a feature that zombies once had that sadly has gone away, and I'm here to tell you guys that that feature should have never left, and in fact should have became a staple in Call of Duty Zombies going forward. And here I'm here to say that it should come back, and what that is none other than the Gobblegum system from Black Ops 3 Zombies. And this system I really liked. I think it did so much for the game, but that's not to say it didn't have some issues that we'll also discuss in this video and potential fixes to those. But for now, I first want to talk about why I think the Gobblegum system is so good and why it should be a staple feature in Call of Duty Zombies. So why exactly do I love the Gobblegum system so much? Well, first things first, I'm nothing without Perkaholic. No, for real, but to actually get into some real reasons is that the reason I love the Gobblegum system so much is because it gives so much variety in how you play the game. This gives you so many different options on playing the exact same Easter egg, the exact same map, the exact same high rounds over and over again. That's just something that we don't have. And to give an example of what I'm talking about here is just think of Cold War Zombies and think of really any of the maps you want to, but we'll use Die Maschine for example here, and just looking at how you get set up on Die Maschine. And what literally almost everyone does is they do the most optimized way to get set up, and what this is just opening one door and then sitting on top of Nocturne Toten and killing zombies there till round 7, or you could stay in spawn, but they do the exact same thing in the end. Either way, that's how almost everybody's game of Die Maschine goes, unless you're not familiar with it or you're really trying to do something new. But really, that's the most optimized way to do it, so most people who are aware of that are just going to do that. And I know for the amount of times I played that map, that's what I did every single time, and I played that map a lot. And there's a similar story with all the other maps in Cold War. But if we switch over to Black Ops 3 now and think of all the different ways that you could get set up on this game, like what you could do is just not use any Gobblegums and use some optimized setup for there. But then you could use Gobblegums to just change your setup where you don't have to worry about going a couple rounds in order to get enough points of everything. You use shopping free. You don't want to worry about your perks. You can use Perkaholic, or just all of these things to skip over what some people consider to be the boring part of zombies, and that's being set up, especially for someone who plays so much zombies over and over again that they kind of get tired of doing the exact same process over and over. And Gobblegums give you more variety of how you could choose to start your game, and that's just to start the game. Keep in mind, there's more to zombies than just getting set up, and the best example of this and where Gobblegums really shine more than anywhere is the Easter eggs. Easter eggs were so much fun with Gobblegums because there were so many different ways you go about doing the Easter eggs if you were using a different set of Gobblegums, because what you could do, as always, no Gobblegums, or you use only classic Gobblegums, but then you could also use Mega Gobblegums. And keep in mind, there's like a ton of Mega Gobblegums and you can only have 5, so you have to, before you even go into your game, come up with a strategy of the most optimized way of how you want to go about doing that Easter egg. You have to choose only 5 of them. So if you're someone who's trying to complete the Easter egg for the first time, maybe use the most safe ones, just use your Perkaholic, use the one that revives you and keeps your perk. I can't remember the name of it currently, or any of the other ones. Or maybe if you're playing a map like Moon and it's Easter egg, you need to get a lot of things from the box, so take your fire cells in there, or whatever you're trying to do. If you're trying to speed run, there's an optimal 5 set of Gobblegums for that. If you're just trying to be safe, just trying to do it casually, there's different strategies to use, and it lets you approach the exact same Easter egg in the exact same map in so many different ways, and gives you a different variety and different strategies and different optimizations in order to do what you're trying trying to do in that game. And to me, that is just a good thing, to give people a diverse way of experiencing the exact same map and the exact same Easter egg, the exact same high rounds. To me, that's just something that I consider to be a absolute good things. Like, just being able to play the same thing and not get bored of it because you don't play it the exact same way every time is more than a good thing. And I think more than anything that really showed this is just speedrunning. Like, speedrunning inside of BO3 Zombies was just so much better. Like, people were still speedrunning that game like 4 or 5 years after it was out. Like, that goes to show how good speedrunning really is in that game because of the gobblegums. Because if there was any gobblegums, people would have already got the record forever ago, because there's not any new strategy you can figure out with this perfect set of gobblegums or anything like that. And because of that feature alone, I think it just gives more variety for to play zombies, and that is nothing but a good thing. But now I want to touch on some problems that people like to bring up with the gobblegum system. And the first one I want to mention, and I don't know how many people still say this, but it makes zombies too easy. And obviously people in the past would say just don't use them if it's too easy for you, which is still somewhat valid, but I don't really think this argument is even valid at all anymore, because did you guys play Cold War Zombies? Like, the Easter eggs in that game were easier by default than the BO3 Easter eggs were with Mega Gobblegums, and I will argue that till the day I die. I swear that's the case. And to me, I just feel like this is kind of outdated, because this just seems like zombies is just getting easier and easier as time goes on, so heck with it. Let's just give us back the Gobblegums. Who even cares at this point? But another thing I hear people say is that if the Gobblegum system was so great, then why did a very similar system, the BO4 Elixir system, not be nearly as successful? Well, I think there's 3 reasons why this is the case. First things first is that BO4 just wasn't the best game in the world, so people weren't really grinding the game as much. People weren't trying to use the Gobblegums or the Elixirs in this case as much, and it just wasn't very popular. And also with the game launching broken, that kind of put a sour taste in people's mouth, so people were all like, I don't really want to mess with this too much. So that just kind of, the game itself was holding it back, even if the Elixir system was good. But then again, I don't even think the Elixir system did what the Gobblegum system did so well. And what this is that the Elixir system was just a nerfed version of the Gobblegum system. Like, they just weren't nearly as good as the Gobblegum system. Like, all of the things, especially at launch, were not very good. I mean, to give the best example of this, like, literally wall power, the elixir that lets you buy a gun off the wall, and when you buy it, it's pack punch, that was literally considered a legendary inside of BO4. So to say that the Elixir system was a nerfed version of the Gobblegum system is a understatement. But to be fair, as time went on throughout the season, they did add more powerful Gobblegums, but honestly it was kind of too late at that point, especially since it was BO4. But honestly, I don't even think those are the 2 main reasons for why the Elixir system was just not nearly as successful as the Gobblegum system. And what this is the fact that you couldn't dashboard in BO4, and you could dashboard in BO3. For the people who don't know what that means, all this means is that when you use your Gobblegums in the game, instead of ending your game and losing those Gobblegums, you could then close app instead, and you'll be able to keep all of those Gobblegums. And in BO3, you were able to do this, in BO4, you were not. And I think this is by far the main reason why the Gobblegum system was just so much more successful than the Elixir system, because you just didn't have to worry, am I going to use all these? I'm not going to have any for the future. I'm not just going to have everything I need. And it's just was a system that just didn't incentivize you to actually use the elixirs, whereas dashboarding more than incentivized people to use their Gobblegums. And because of this, people felt more free to use their Gobblegums. And this kind of brings me into the last and final problem with the Gobblegum system, and that is, why was dashboarding so necessary? Well, it's because just like the elixirs, the Gobblegums, you got them through gambling in a video game, and I don't think anybody wants gambling back in video games. Like, I know there's still some out there that still have it, but currently right now a lot of video games just threw those out the window because they are very, very evil, to say the very least. Having gambling in a children's video game just seems a bit sussy. So this is where the problem comes into play, because if we did have a return to Gobblegums, how are we even going to get these Gobblegums if we don't want this gambling system here again? And to me, I honestly would, in a perfect world, if we were living in the best timeline, we would just get them easily through playing the game. Like, you just play the game, you got them, you didn't really have to worry about them. But unfortunately, we probably don't live in that world, and we live with a bunch of greedy companies. So instead, I think like the best possible system that we could see again is that if they just add Gobblegums back in the game, and then you get them easily and get the ones you wanted by just playing the game. And I think that anybody who plays the game at a somewhat consistent basis should never have to be at a place where they're thinking like, wait, if I use this, am I ever going to get this back? Like, they should be able to think that I'm free to use this thing. I don't have to worry about not getting another one for another game. And that's why I think they need to make the Gobblegums get obtainable by just playing the game, and more than that, very easy to obtain, because you need to give an incentive for people to use your Gobblegums and not use them, because if they're too difficult to get, people just aren't going to use them as much because they're going to be worried about running out of them. And this is why I think they need to just become very easy to get. Again, in an ideal world, they'll just give you an infinite supply of them or something like that, but again, I don't know if we live in that timeline. But either way, that's how I imagine the Gobblegum system returning in today's game, is that you have a lot of the same Gobblegums, even with some unique ones that come out new. I'd love to see new innovations inside the Gobblegum system, but if we just make it not nearly as a predatory monetary system as it was in BO3, and just make it a game feature and not a monetary feature, I think the game would just be so much better. And that kind of wraps it up for this video. I'd love to hear what you guys think of everything I had to say here. You guys agree, disagree? You guys think that Gobblegums sucked, thought they were poggers, they should always be in zombies? Tell me all of those thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever the heck it may be, and laters, guys.